Welcome to Blog Talk Radio in high fidelity.
Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news in the world of boxing right here.
Where I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter podcast, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorda, and I'm here with my co-host, Ringside Robert, and England's adopted son, Joe Habib. We have a great show for you today, and as always, you can catch us on the web at www.ringsidereporter.com. If you want to call and ask questions or just give your 2 cents, you can call in right now at 323-870-3857. Hit option 1 if you want to talk to us, and we're going to be here till about 9 tonight. Today, we're going to talk about Miguel Cotto drops Rock Nation, and I'm sure Rock Nation is just heartbroken. Big news. This just came across the wire here while I'm sitting here anyway looking at the news. Shannon Briggs, Fresno Kendo, is off because Briggs tested positive. Robert, you were looking for this fight.
Eric, no, I wasn't. I'm glad it's not happening, and it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
Oh, that's Keith, one-time-a-year Thurman is out with an elbow injury, but first, we get started with Terence Crawford versus Felix Diaz. Terence Crawford scored a 10th-round TKO over 2008 Olympic gold medalist Felix Diaz in Madison Square Garden in New York City on Saturday. From the start of the fight, Crawford controlled the action. Over the course of 10 rounds, Diaz started to have problems with his vision. Diaz's corner stopped it at the end of round 10. Listen, guys, this was a one-way whitewash. And I hate to say I told you so, but I told you this was not a competitive fight at all. I told you it should have been Adrian Granados in there instead. This fight was not even close, not even a little bit. It wasn't even a little bit. You two, both of you, I'm going to take you to task right now. Both of you said that it was going to be a competitive fight, that Felix Diaz actually had a shot here. He didn't even have a shot to win a round, much less the fight. They knew what they were doing when they picked Felix Diaz and not Adrian Granados. I'm going to tell you that right now. Beeb, explain yourself.
I thought that he would be hard to hit. I thought he would be better defensively. I thought he'd be able to find a way to get inside. And I thought he would be able to go to the body more. And I got to say one thing, though, that I did notice with Terence Crawford. He fought a very, very good fight. He fought a good fight, particularly up close. So, he didn't give up anything in this fight. He was able to land at will wherever he was, up close, from a distance, mid-range. And, early on, even Max Kellerman commented on this, you would see him kind of take some shots early in fights to kind of get a feel for what's going on, try to get his rhythm. But, he was on right from the jump. You know what I'm saying? He just seemed like he was on right from the jump. He was dialed in, and he fought a flawless performance. And again, this was a former gold medalist. This was a guy with an extensive amateur background. This was a guy that I thought beat a very tough Peterson, and he looked like he wasn't even a top 10 contender, with all due respect, last night against Terence Crawford. And that's all credit to Terence Crawford, because he was the one that made him look like that. And dare I even say, is Terence Crawford getting better even at this stage? That's a scary thought. That's something incredible to think. If this guy, as good as he is right now, can even get better, can even add more wrinkles to his game. Because, I commented before, when he would switch up and get in that southpaw stance, that's when I thought he got hit a lot. In that southpaw stance. His defense was exceptional last night. It really was. And I just can't say enough about how good he looked. And I'm not going to take anything away from his performance, because, again, I thought this was going to be a competitive fight, and it was far from it. It was anything but.
Very good. Robert, explain yourself. Explain why you thought Felix Diaz was going to win this fight. Why he got whitewashed.
I didn't say he was going to win the fight, Eric.
That's so funny.
I didn't say he was going to win the fight.
So
I always thought Terence Crawford would. I always thought Terence Crawford would win the fight, but he thoroughly dominated somebody that gave Lamont Peterson fits, absolute fits. And I, like Beeb, thought that Felix Diaz got ripped off against Peterson. But last night, it just goes to show you there's different levels to this game. And Terence Crawford is head and shoulders way above where Felix Diaz is. And the credit goes to Terence Crawford. Felix Diaz would give any other fighter in that division difficulty, but he couldn't handle what Terence Crawford was throwing at him. And Eric, since you've seen Julius Ndongo fight, do you think Ndongo can actually give Terence Crawford the kind of fight we'd like to see him in? Because that's what it looks like they're working on for him next.
I don't know. I got to be honest, man. I don't know. I think that Ndongo being TBE, he carries that title with pride. The thing is with Julius, he's so big. He's a big guy. And if he can use his reach and use that range like he did against Burns, I think he's got a real shot here. The problem is, man, is that Crawford is so good and adapts so well. I think here's the deal. I think you have to make Crawford the favorite. But I do think Ndongo has a chance. I think he's got a better chance than Felix Diaz did, put it that way. But I could see that fight turning out to be like a Postol fight for Crawford.
I think we can at least agree on this, or possibly say this, that Ndongo would be the toughest test. Would he win? I would still pick Crawford to win, but he'll give Crawford the best fight. He'll give him the toughest fight, I think, at 140. And I think Crawford's going to have to go to 147 if he's going to get really tested, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it looked to me too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was shocked, and I was very pleasantly surprised that he even called out Keith Thurman last night. That was awesome.
I thought so too. I thought that was great. I think that he called out Pacquiao was great, and he calls out everyone.
Yeah.
I didn't hear him say Spence, but Spence doesn't have a title either, But I think that that's kind of what you look for, man. I mean, if Spence is able to beat Brook, and we'll talk about that later on today, if Spence is able to beat Brook, that's the fight right there. Him and Crawford.
Oh yeah,
what a fight that is.
That'd be a good fight.
Yeah. So let's talk about the undercard here. Raimundo Beltran versus Jonathan Maicelo. Is it Maicelo? Was it Maicelo?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's Maicelo. Yeah. That's correct. Yeah.
Apparently, Beltran is facing deportation if he didn't win this fight. How's that for pressure? How's that for pressure? You don't win. You're going back to your home country. You're never coming back again. Anyway, Ray Beltran won a second-round KO over Jonathan Maicelo. Maicelo knocked Beltran down in the first round with a well-placed headbutt. In all fairness, though, it was an accidental butt. It wasn't like he did it intentionally. It was ruled a knockdown, which I was kind of surprised by, but, it is what it is. Beltran then came out in the second round and just put him to sleep. He put Maicelo out cold with a left hand, and Maicelo had to be stretchered out of the ring. He's okay, but he had to be stretchered out of the ring. That was some stout. I mean, when he went down, he stiffened up, and that's how you know you're out. I mean, he was out cold. I mean, he was just stiffened up. You saw him go down, and you saw his mouth kind of curl up, because you knew he was stiffened up, man. And that was scary. That was scary. What do you think of Ray Beltran going forward here? He's a veteran, but he looks to have some big punching power. Kind of maybe resurrected his career a little bit. He's 33-7, definitely a journeyman fighter. Beeb, what are your thoughts on Beltran? First of all, what do you think of the knockout?
That knockout was like a Rocky movie. It was just like one of those highlight reel type knockouts. And if you really look at the punch, and I was saying this last night to my girlfriend, I was watching the fight. The hook was. It was really like he caught him and he didn't actually turn it over. So he caught him with the hook pretty much in mid motion. Mm-hmm. And the arm was really extended, and it wasn't like he even got full leverage on it, but you saw that he hurt him bad because the head kind of snapped back real quick. And that's where, you get those types of neurological reactions because big snap of the neck like that, the brainstem gets jarred a little bit from the brain, and the body short circuits. So I thought it was incredible that he was able to get that result without even really turning the hook over. It was almost like it was open, and he didn't really get the full leverage on it that I think he could have if he was able to turn it over fully. So that in itself was very impressive. And Beltran's always been a solid fighter. I thought he beat Ricky Burns. I think he's a tough out for anybody. He's just to really go in there and just walk over. So when you fight Beltran, you're in for a fight. If you're a champion or a top level guy, I think Beltran should be a world champion. Now, as I said, I think he beat Burns. And on any given night, if somebody is off and he is 100% on, I think he can win, with the exception of probably Crawford. But he's a top 10 guy without question. Is he an elite fighter? Absolutely not. But he's good enough to become world champion, in my opinion. And he's the type of guy you root for because he's not a trash talker. He just goes out there, works hard. He's solid. Not the quickest guy in the world, not the most athletic guy in the world, but he knows how to fight. He can throw feints. So what he does have, he's able to make the best of it. And he's just a tough, gritty guy. And again, he's got great timing. He throws great feints. He's got good fundamentals. He works behind the jab. He sets his punches up well, does not get wild. And he's patient, and he showed patience last night. He didn't get rattled. He was headbutt. He was hurt from the headbutt. He was cut from the headbutt. Just remained composed, and he was confident in his ability. He was confident in his skills and his power. That's why he was able to do what he was able to do last night. And I thought it was a solid win. Let him move on to a title shot now.
I remember, I saw the knockout, but what I didn't see, I didn't analyze it. Did Maicelo see that punch coming?
I think he saw it right at the end. It wasn't like it was a blind shot. It was kind of a surprise shot. I think he, originally took his eye off a little bit because Beltran threw a feint, and then he kind of, moved Maicelo out of position. And before he could recover and regroup, just already there, and he just couldn't defend against it. So I think he saw it at the last minute, but it wasn't one of those shots where he was totally blinded from it, like he didn't see it at all.
Right.
I think he too late, and before he could make that adjustment to defend against it, it was too late for him. So.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like when I saw it, I was like, that looks like a shot he didn't see coming. But it could have been like you said. I mean, he looks away and looks back. I mean, you may see it, but it's at the. There's still
feint it was the feint that really was able to allow Beltran to get that punch off so cleanly.
Right. Robert, what were your thoughts on Beltran Maicelo?
Well, I tell you what, Ray had a lot to fight for last night. This was an IBF title eliminator. So now he's the #1 mandatory for Robert Easter. We'll talk about that in a second. But you had the pressure of actually your choices were win the fight and you could stay in the United States, lose the fight, and they had people there at the arena to take him out if he would have lost and automatically sent him back to Mexico.
How crazy is that?
I couldn't believe it when I read the story in USA Today. I'm like, really? Seriously? This guy actually has to win the fight to stay in the country? But props to him. But I don't think he's going to get past. I don't normally disagree with what Beeb has to say because Beeb is so good at this kind of stuff. But I don't think he's going to get past Robert Easter. If Robert Easter and Ray Beltran fight, which now he'll be mandated to do once Easter wins his next fight at the end of June, I don't think Ray Beltran gets past Robert Easter. Robert Easter's got at least 6 inches on him, I think, in height or something like that, and I don't think he can give him any difficulties at all. And I know Eric agrees with me, but go ahead, Eric. Talk about Robert Easter now.
Oh, I'm going to talk about Robert Easter. Beeb, you don't think that Beltran is going to beat Easter, do you?
I would favor Easter, but I think it will be a competitive fight. I don't think it would be an easy fight for Easter. No, I think it would be a tough fight.
You didn't know that Easter's from Ohio, right? He's from Toledo. That's a walkover for him. That's an ezy fight.
I hear some crazy things about fighters from Ohio, but
I once heard this is a true story.
There's a guy named Adrian Broner. He's from Ohio too, isn't he?
I heard of a fighter who went and shot a bowling alley, or like almost pistol whipped a guy after a bowling alley incident. It was crazy. I don't know what's going on, man. They said that guy's from Ohio. Right. I'm not 100% sure though, so you know.
You want to claim that? You claiming him or what?
Trophy is named after him.
The Adrian Broner train wreck of the week, man. Exactly. No, I think that's a good fight. And I tell you what, as far as Robert Easter goes, he's got his hands full with Dennis Shafikov. That's not an easy out for him. I think that's a tough fight for him.
I'll be honest with you.
Beltran, I think fight for him as well. Go ahead.
I think the Shafikov fight would be tougher than Beltran because I think Beltran's a little bit more crafty. I think he's got more experience, and I think he's a little more grittier. And I think he actually hits harder than Shafikov. I definitely think he hits harder than Shafikov, and I think he's a better body puncher as well. So, hey, let's be honest now. Easter's a good fighter. He's got a lot of upside. He's got a lot of potential. Again, you know, this would be a tough fight with Beltran. This guy's been in there. He's got a lot of experience. He's rugged, and he's got some of the old tricks of the trade. I just like how he's able to, limitations with feints, with timing, and just having the sense of awareness on what to do. What punch to throw at the right time. Thanks.
Yeah, he's definitely – Beltran's going to be a tough out for anyone. I mean, I really believe that, and especially if he's facing deportation in his next fight. It's like some next-level Survivor kind of thing, man, where, if the guy doesn't win the fight, he's going to get deported. Where do you hear about stuff like that? I mean, seriously. And
that's some gladiator.
I mean,
that's some gladiator type stuff.
Yeah, that's like next-level stuff. Why, if he wins, does he get to stay? I don't understand that. I mean, so if he loses, he goes. I mean, it's like the WWE, like a loser leave town match. Or you remember those, like back in the day when?
No, well, apparently that's the deal his lawyer worked out for him. If he wins, he gets his green card and he gets to stay. If he lost, he'd have to go.
I guess you have to show exceptional ability in some type of craft in order to stay in the country if you don't have a green card.
Yeah, it was like an art. Didn't you say, Robbie, what was that? It was like an art thing or something like that, arts or sports or something. It was like,
Yeah, you have to be exceptional at music, arts, sports. You have to do something exceptional that an American can't do in order to stay.
Maicelo qualified for that. Oh my God. That's crazy. I've never heard of anything like this, man. But that's the lawyer. That's his lawyer, man. That's what they worked out. So hey, and good for him. Hey, good for Beltran, man. I tell you what, if you needed any more motivation, I mean, it's his family. His family was here and everything like that. I mean, that's a pretty tough thing, man, to be facing.
Yeah,
that's a lot on your shoulders, man. Right. And he's got his family over here and everything like that. I mean, that's a tough, man. That's a lot of pressure to put on him, man. That's for sure.
And he's been in the country since he was 18. He's 35 now. I don't know why all of a sudden, you've been here this long, but if you lose, we're going to make you leave. I don't know what that's all about, but I'm glad he won for his sake.
Yeah, that's your boy. Yeah, you put him in there. That's your boy. Building the wall. Somebody in the chat just said Beltran reminds him of Salido, like Orlando Salido. I think that's spot on. I think that really is spot on comparison. It really is.
That would be a hell of a fight too, with those two.
Yeah, I mean, they're both crafty veterans. I mean, they've been around the block a few times and very good fighters, man. Yeah, I would for sure go along with that. Shakur Stevenson on the undercard versus Carlos Suarez. Shakur Stevenson scored a first-round KO over Carlos Suarez on the undercard. I don't know what you can really gather from this from a first-round knockout. Everybody was calling him, saying that he lacked power, and then he ends up clipping the guy in the first round. I still think he probably lacks power. He's such a small guy. And granted, that doesn't have a whole lot to do with it, but I think as he, like I said, I think we just need to see more of him. But they're doing the right thing. They're keeping him busy. So keeping him busy. Did you guys catch the? I think Real Sport. Was it Real Sports or was it that stupid fight game show with Lampley that did a thing on like they did a piece on Stevenson?
That was the fight game, Eric. And you're right about that show. It's stupid.
That chick was covering him or whatever, and then just but he did.
Melissa Stark. Yes.
Yeah. Right. I mean, she's better than the other one. I tell you that.
Absolutely.
But but Shakur Stevenson seems like he's got his head on right. He seems like a good kid. Seems like a nice guy and everything like that. And he seems humble. He seems humble enough, and he seems like he's got like he knows what he has to do to get to the next level. So I think that's kind of all you can ask, man, for right now, and just see where his career goes and see how he handles himself. But so far, he's off to a pretty good start, man. Off to a real good start. Yeah. All right, let's flip across the pond here on Showtime. Showtime, I tell you what, man, was that beautiful or what? From what was that, 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or something crazy?
Yeah. Oh my God.
6 to 10, Eric.
That's like having Box Nation, man. That was unbelievable. Yeah. It was beautiful.
Hey, that's what I like.
How great was that, man? So, Gervonta Davis versus Liam Walsh. First of all, what did you guys think about Gervonta Davis's walkout, man? He come out looking like Michael Jackson. How cool was that? IBF World Super Featherweight Champion Gervonta Davis scored a third-round KO over Liam Walsh on Saturday night in London. In the first few rounds, both fighters, just kind of felt each other's out, I thought. I mean, but even though it was a feel-out thing, you could still see that I gave Davis all of the rounds, man. I thought he was boxing better. I thought he was landing the harder shots. I thought when he landed a hard shot, he wasn't available to be countered. And I thought that Walsh was just going to get frustrated more and more as the fight went on. Davis unleashed a flurry that put Walsh down, and those were big shots he got hit with. He just completely overpowered Walsh, and the referee ended up stopping the fight. It was 2-11. My thing is with I've seen Liam Walsh fight before, and I know a lot of people picked him in this fight. I was really surprised.
Yeah.
I think if you were going to pick Walsh, I think you probably would have picked him at the weigh-in when Gervonta Davis took like 3 times to make weight. But he didn't look like it that night, man. He looked really solid that night. But I don't know. I mean, Beeb, you watched a lot of Walsh fights, and I've seen him a couple of times. You've probably seen him more than I have. What did you see in Walsh that you thought would give Davis trouble, or did you see anything in Walsh that would give Davis trouble?
To be perfectly honest with you, I thought that Davis would win handily.
Yeah,
but not that handily. I thought it would go about 6 or 7 rounds. The one thing I could say about Walsh is again not a spectacular fighter, but he's very, very solid. He's a solid boxer, and he's a tough, rugged kid, and he's gritty. And I hate to get in fighters' heads, but from the moment this fight was signed, he just didn't look right mentally. He looked a little bit intimidated. I don't know if it was by Floyd Mayweather constantly kind of yapping in his ear, but ironically enough, he was the home guy. He was fighting in his backyard, so to speak. You would have think that would have kind of fueled him. That would have given him the psychological edge. Gervonta Davis and Floyd Mayweather, they were so confident, and it just appeared to me that Walsh just didn't look in it mentally. He just was mentally checked out. I thought he looked kind of nervous. I thought he was intimidated. I thought he seemed to be overwhelmed by the moment. Gervonta Davis would have had some of those effects to him, being the young kid coming overseas, being the American, fighting on foreign soil. And I got to say, he took to the whole thing very well. And I was impressed by his discipline and his, mental fortitude leading up to this fight and during this fight. I thought he was just really and I was impressed with that. So, you know, I've seen Walsh fight better. I don't want to take anything away from Davis, but again, I just think something was off. I thought he was a little bit overwhelmed. He seemed a little bit nervous, and he was fighting overly defensive, more so than I've ever seen him fight. And seemed like he was concerned before the bell even rang. So I think that was an issue for him, and it showed up. It showed up in the fight clearly.
Robert, what did you think of Walsh's performance and Davis's performance here?
Well, Floyd, I hate to say this, but Floyd Mayweather knew what he was doing in this case. He picked a perfect opponent for Davis. Davis totally destroyed him from the time the fight was signed, sealed, and delivered until the knockout punch was delivered yesterday. I mean, it looked like Davis had been defending a title for years, and it looked like Liam Walsh was the first time fighter, which he was in a title shot. It looks like Walsh was overwhelmed by the circumstance, and Davis looked like the veteran in there. You know, Davis, he looked great when he won the title, and he looked spectacular yesterday. You know, I would like to see him in against somebody that could actually give him a fight. I know that Lomachenko is out of the question because Floyd and Bob Arum will not work together. But honestly, you know, Davis needs to, even though he is the champion, he needs a tougher title defense because this was too easy for him yesterday.
Yeah, Lomachenko, the fact that he does business with Top Rank is not the reason that fight's not going to happen.
Yeah,
there's no way.
Right.
I mean, they could come to an agreement. There's no way he's putting Davis in the ring with that killer. None. So Davis is going to be fed guys like Liam Walsh for a long, long time. I don't expect him to come out and have a big fight. You know, a fight where where he could be in like real danger. I think they hang on to that title for as long as possible. That's not to take anything away from Davis. I think they're kind of doing him a disservice because I think he's a very good fighter, but he's still young. Like, and to Floyd's point, he's still young. Very
22 years old, yeah.
He's 18-0, 17 knockouts. Very good fighter, but he's still very young. So we got to give him the benefit of the doubt here. But again, I just don't see him going up against any kind of killer. You know, I mean, they're going to.
Although Eric, I would agree with you in most cases, but when you hold a title belt, when you're a champion, that means you have to, you won the title. You've got to act like a champion, and you've got to take tough title defenses. So you can only protect a champion so much.
Yeah, well, for sure. I mean, yes, sooner or later you're going to get a tough contender, and that's going to be ranked number one, and you're going to have to fight him. But yeah, I mean, I think they're doing a good job with him, though. This is kind of like that. How they kind of bring up Anthony Joshua in the sense that, when he gets the title, they keep feeding him guys that are going to be good for him and that are going to build him. And I think that, I'm really curious to see who Davis fights next. I really am. But this was a good success. I mean, this was a very good experience for him and everything like that. So this was good, man. This was good stuff from Davis. Yep. Of course, after the fight, you know what? Floyd was very central to this promotion and almost kind of taking the spotlight off of Davis a little bit until that performance by Davis. But, of course, the question of the day, they asked Floyd, are you going to talk about, what about Conor McGregor? Or what about this and that? Floyd says there's a 90% chance that he will fight Conor McGregor. So get ready for that. And he says also, too, that that's the only guy he's going to come back for. He said it doesn't make any sense to come back for anybody, basically anybody that can beat him in the boxing ring. That sounds stupid, So he's going to wait for Conor McGregor or whatever the case may be. But yeah, that's what he's going to do. So there you go. So also too on that undercard, Chris Hobbs versus Anthony Yard. I didn't see this. I saw highlights of it. Light heavyweight Anthony Yard wins again by TKO. He's now 11 wins with 10 knockouts. Beeb, this guy looks pretty good. I don't know if he's the guy. I don't know if he's the guy at light heavyweight, man, but I tell you what, he looks pretty good to me. What are your thoughts on him? Did you see him?
Yeah, he's a good fighter. I actually didn't see this fight, but I've seen him before, courtesy of Davey Boy Essex. And
Essex is awesome.
Another guy with a lot of upside. I mean, this is a guy that's pretty solid all around too, as well. So, still got some things to learn. We got to see him in there. We got to watch him progress. But give the guy the eye test, and he knows how to fight. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Very patient. Another guy who sets shots up very well. He's a solid guy. Solid guy.
Yeah, he looks very good. Very good, man. Okay, so after the Showtime card, they went to Maryland. And Gary Russell Jr. versus Oscar Escandon. Mr. Gary Russell scored a 7th round TKO over a very game Oscar Escandon. I personally thought the fight was stopped a little early, honestly, man. I mean, they stopped it right after that knockdown. Escandon wasn't going to, but, you know, he was competitive. He got back up. I mean, he was competitive and not competitive at the same time. I mean, he was taking a lot of clean shots. He wasn't going to win this fight. He was very game, but he was taking a lot of clean shots, man. After the fight, Gary Russell Jr. called out Vasyl Lomachenko when he gets ready to retire. So I don't know what that was all about, but he doesn't want to fight him right now. He wants to fight him, you know, at the end of his career. Okay. But then he called out everybody under the moon too. Called out who did he call out? Leo Santa Cruz, Carl Frampton. So yeah, a lot of people. B, what were your thoughts on Gary Russell? I thought he looked pretty good. I thought I didn't think that Escandon was going to give him any problems, and turns out he really didn't. I was glad that he went some rounds with him. But what were your thoughts on this?
Always liked Gary Russell.
Yeah.
And again, I was a little bit worried about him early in his career when the hand problems started to arise. And I saw some things in the Lomachenko fight that we talked about before. It didn't look like him. But he seems very calm. He seems relaxed. And he's really sitting down on his shots now, too. So it's not like he's just going through the motions. He's going out there, and he's looking to make a statement now in all of these fights. And he's really focused. And I think he wants to be one of the best fighters in the world. I think he wants to fight everybody. He doesn't want to duck anybody. I think he really wants to be considered the best fighter in his division, and he wants to be on that pound-for-pound list. And I think that he doesn't want to have any of these long layoffs anymore. Seems like he's really focused on moving forward and taking charge of his career. And I don't think he wants any more easy fights, to be perfectly honest with you. I think he's ready to fight in a lot of big fights moving forward. Yeah. And again, I'm not saying he would beat Lomachenko, but I honestly think that it would be a much more competitive fight if they fought again. And it seems like he's got everything, working the way he wants to work it. A lot of those injuries, I think he's got them under control now. I think the hands are pretty solid. I think the conditioning's pretty solid now, and I think he's kind of putting it all together right now. And he's a great fighter, and I love watching him fight.
He's awesome. He's awesome. Somebody in the chat just said, what about Russell Selby? He said Russell and Selby next, Lee Selby and Gary Russell Jr. next. What are your thoughts on that, Beeb?
I think that's a good fight too.
You think it's competitive?
Somewhat, but I think that he's got too much for Selby, to be quite honest with you. I think Selby's a good fighter too, but I think he's a little bit porous defensively. And I think, sometimes he's a little bit off balance. I think he gets a little overzealous. I don't think he's a huge puncher. And sometimes he has a style where he acts like he has a big punch and he relies on, those big punches. He loads up a little bit sometimes. But he's a kid, though. I think he's talented as well. Fights very good from a distance, but I think he'll have a problem with Gary Russell in the mid-range area, because Gary Russell's really he's another one of those guys that's pretty solid all around. I mean, he can fight and hold his own from the mid-range, from a distance, and up close now too, because throws those short, sneaky up and under type punches. And I think that's where the problem would lie with Selby, because Selby seems vulnerable up close. And I think he gets caught with those uppercuts and those short hooks on the inside. And because Gary Russell is so quick and so explosive with those short punches, I think that would be a problem for Selby, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I think Gary Russell murks Lee Selby, son. I don't even think that's close.
Yeah.
I don't even think that's close.
I agree. But, Eric, here's the problem I have with Gary Russell calling out everybody. He hasn't been active enough to call out people. He needs to be more active and have more fights. I understand he's got a title and all the champions, they want to unify. I understand that. But you can't call out these list of names and they're going to look at you like, well, what have you done? Why do you deserve to fight with me? He hasn't been active enough. He's actually got to have more fights and show people that he's going to be a player in this division. I mean, up until yesterday, he fought 6 rounds since 2014. I mean, I don't think he's got a right. He might have the right to call people out and try to get a unification thing, but for him to make the statement, well, if I can't unify, I'm going to move up. Well, I don't think you've got any case where you can actually talk. You haven't been active enough. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just the way I see it. He did very good. He did what he was supposed to do yesterday against the guy he was supposed to do something against, but he hasn't fought enough to be making demands of people and calling out people. And, well, if I don't get this, I'm going to do this. No, I don't buy that.
I couldn't disagree more. I mean, Gary Russell is the class of the division. I mean, who's better? Aside from Lomachenko, who beat him, who's better? Nobody. He beats everybody in that division. Why can't he call out who he wants? He's got the belt. He's got the title.
Well, let me just say,
I mean, he's knocking people out. I mean, how is that his fault?
Well, let me just say this, Eric, and with all due respect to Robbie, this is what you want in boxing. You want guys who call people out. We get on these guys so much for saying, oh, it's up to my promoter. He basically was his own promoter last night. He was his own mouthpiece. He said, bring him on. Let's bring him on. And, if the fighter is saying that, if the fighter is saying that, that's a good thing.
I don't have a problem with him calling people out. I have a problem with the inactivity that he's had. And, if you're going to call people out, you need to be more active.
Yeah, but it's not like he was just sitting on his hands waiting for a contract. I mean, he was fighting. He had knocked a couple of people out quick. He got injured. I mean, that's not really, not really being active in the same sense of like just somebody not fighting.
Well, let's just say this. As Eric said, I mean, he made an excellent point. Guy's been plagued with injuries his whole career. And I think he seems to be getting that under control. Now, if there was like 10 or 12 contracts dropped on his lap and he turned them down, like what was the case with Nicholas Walters when the fight was offered to him with Lomachenko about a year or 8 months prior, and he didn't like the financial terms, and then he just passed it up, and it was really hard to get him to get that fight. And then, after the fight, he complained about inactivity. That was his fault. Gary Russell legitimately was injured. So it's a different set of circumstances. You know what I'm saying?
All right. So somebody in the chat just brought something up.
Yeah. Okay, I see it.
Somebody in the chat just brought this up. This is good. Leo Santa Cruz is a bigger name and has a bigger name and better resume than Gary Russell does. And I think you're right. I think you might be right, actually. I think, he lost to Lomachenko, so he does have that loss on there. So maybe, maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know if he's a bigger name or not. I know that Gary Russell is a better, to me anyway, when you talk about like the class and division, who's best, it's Gary Russell, and to me, Lomachenko, Gary Russell, and then everybody else. That's kind of where I stand out on it. What about that, though? Do you think that Leo Santa Cruz is a bigger name than Gary Russell? I'm not so sure.
I think he sells more tickets, but I don't think he's a better fighter.
I think you're right. He does sell more tickets, but he's in California, he sells them out in California. Gary Russell's in Maryland, you know what I mean? So
and again,
being fighter either.
Yeah, being the bigger name doesn't always mean you're the better fighter. Canelo's a bigger name than Triple G. I don't think he's a better fighter.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
It's my opinion.
Good point, man. Good point on the chat. Love it. Love when you guys get involved, man. All right.
Hey, keep it up, guys. I like that.
Well, there you go. Robbie approves. Jose, Uzcategui. Is Uzcategui or Uzcategui? Help me out with this.
Uzcategui?
Uzcategui. There we go.
Uzcategui. That's right.
Uzcategui.
That's correct.
I know we got 3 different pronunciations here.
Yeah.
Uzcategui.
Jose Uzcategui versus Andre Dirrell. Andre Dirrell won the interim IBF super middleweight title by 8th round disqualification over Jose Uzcategui. Uzcategui landed a crushing left hand that dropped Dirrell face first into the canvas after the bell. Referee immediately ruled the punch came after the bell, and Dirrell was awarded the victory. You know what this reminded me of? It reminded me, remember the Terry Norris and who was the other guy? Remember the Mexican who fought?
Luis Santana, baby. The trilogy. The trilogy.
It happened twice with those two where he hit him right after the bell, and he collapsed, and he had to get carried out on a stretcher both times.
Oh, my God.
And it's not funny, but I think he was faking it both times. I really do. You know, and he won the title on the stretcher, man. It was like, come on, man. Dirrell seemed to me to get back up and then go back down. Now, Beeb's going to have an interesting take on this, but whether he could or couldn't, who knows? He was fouled. And this kind of guy was winning the fight, had no real reason to foul him, had fouled him before in the fight for hitting him late. I just, you know, this kind of guy looked like he was on his way to winning that fight, but you can't hit somebody after the bell. That's the way it is. So I agree with the disqualification. I think the fight should have been stopped. Once you hit him after the bell and he's hurt like that, I think the fight's over. I don't think you get up and go back and fight. I think as a referee, look, the fight's over and you're done. That's it. Because listen, man, this is the hurt business, man. People get hurt like that, especially, I know it's protect yourself at all times. When you hear the bell, you see the referee, sometimes you hear the bell and your hands are still up, just like Dirrell's were, and you get tagged. I think it was a good call by the ref either way. Now, Beeb, you got an interesting take on this, man. First, give me your assessment of the fight, and then let's get your take on this.
I thought Uzcategui was winning the fight. I thought Dirrell had a good 6th and 7th round. I thought he had a okay 5th round. But the thing with Dirrell is I think his timing looked to be a little bit off. And here's another guy that seems to have these long layoffs, and they really seem to affect him because it seems like he's laying back, trying to set those traps, waiting to suck people into those counters. And Uzcategui just wasn't taking the bait. I mean, he was landing a great lead right hand, and he was cranking up that left hook. He was going to the body. And he was cutting off the ring. He was not giving Dirrell room to breathe. Dirrell had some moments where he seemed to be getting his rhythm. Like I said, 6th, 7th round, I thought he did pretty good. But again, I think Uzcategui was he was getting the play back. And, I thought that even in the moments where Dirrell would get a good counter off, I thought Uzcategui was still in it. He was giving it right back to him. He would get it right back. So it wasn't like, Dirrell, I think, was turning the fight in his favor. I thought he did some good things in spots, but he just could not sustain them. He, I think, was able to take the play away from him. But, at the end of that fight, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. That punch was like a hair after the bell rang. He was, in the process of throwing that combination, and he just could not stop. I mean, I think it was reasonable to, to see and understand that, in mid-air, he just cannot stop that combination. The brain was already, dialed in to throw that combination. It's the third punch in the combination. He knew he was going to throw that combination, and he couldn't stop. I mean, he had the momentum going, and for him to have to stop right in the middle of that, it was just too much to ask. So I think it was just one of those things that happened. I think 9 out of 10 fighters probably would have done the same thing. They still would have thrown that punch, and Dirrell went down on his knees. After he went face down, got up on his knees, and made eye contact with the referee. The referee asked him, "Are you okay?" He nodded yes twice. Then the referee went over to the commission. He was huffing and puffing. He seemed to be really pissed off and upset with Uzcategui. I just think he didn't like what Uzcategui's style of what was going on, because if Uzcategui breathes the wrong way in this fight, look, and he got a scolding from Bill Clancy. I mean, Bill Clancy, I think, was overly officious in this fight. I'm not saying Uzcategui was an angel, but I don't think he was doing anything egregious. I think he was just fighting aggressively, and he was, fighting. He was throwing combinations close to the end of the round. And again, that punch sometimes slips through. It wasn't like with the Arthur Abraham situation where, a big period of time went. It was like almost a second went by, and Dirrell was down, and then punch. This was like a hair after the bell. It was like a hair. It was like a millisecond after the bell. So I don't think it was intentional, and I think it should have went to the scorecards. I think it should have went to the scorecards because it was an accidental foul. And not only that, Dirrell got up on his knees, looked over to his corner, and I heard him talking to his corner. And I think this corner told him to go back down, stay back down. Then the commission turned him over, rolled him over on his back, and then Bill Clancy came back over and said, this is I'm disqualifying Uzcategui. You won the fight. You know what I'm saying? So there was a period of like a couple of seconds in between where Dirrell went down, where he didn't know what the ref was going to do, but the ref was talking to the commission first. Then he came back over. So there was a little bit of time in between. Caught up if he wanted to, and he could have continued if he wanted to. He had the time. Some people are saying, "Oh, he was disqualified immediately." No, he wasn't disqualified immediately. There was a couple seconds where he went and talked to the commission first, and then he went back over to Dirrell and said, "Yeah, I disqualified him." He said Dirrell got up. He was nodding, yes. He looked okay, and then he's talking to his corner, and after talking to his corner, then he went back face first. I think his corner told him to stay down, go back down, stay down. And I think that, he could have suspected he was down. He definitely knew he was in a tough fight. Either way, he definitely was hurt from the first punch that landed before the bell. And, he knew he was in trouble. He knew he was in for a long night, and he knew that he could possibly lose the fight. So he was put in a situation where he was given an out, and he took the out. And that's just my opinion. Am I going to sit here and question his character? Am I going to call him a coward? Am I going to, insult him in any way? No, I'm not. But I honestly believe that he could have continued. That's just me. I think he could have continued because, again, going back to what I said earlier today in my video, when you get hit in the chin, it's different than getting hit in the body. It's different than getting hit in the temple. You get in the temple, it's an equilibrium shot. There's a delayed reaction. There's a residual effect. You may not go down right away. You may start feeling the effects of the blow later, a couple seconds later, a body shot. But when you get hit in the chin, you get in that jaw area. If you're rendered, unconscious, you're incapacitated because that's where all the nerve endings are, and your body just shuts down. His body didn't shut down after getting hit with that shot because he was talking. He was visibly talking to his corner. He was nodding to the referee. His eyes were not glassy. Residual effect. It's not like you're going to feel, the effects after because you're not. If you get up, you're not going to go back down again. Mike Tyson hit Trevor Burbick. You saw when he hit him in the temple, and you see how he went down and he tried to get up, but his legs just were gone because when you get hit in that area, equilibrium type thing, okay. But when someone gets hit in the jaw or that chin area, it's done. It's a wrap. You either can get up or you can't. What Beltran did, he hit him on the chin. It was a wrap. Not that type of punch where you're gonna feel it later. You're not going to be able to talk. You're not going to be able to nod. Your eyes are not going to be clear in a state where you can't fight anymore. So if you can talk, you can nod, your eyes are clear, you're having a conversation with your corner, then in my opinion, you can continue the fight. Now, it is up to the referee to disqualify because, as you said, the punch was after the bell. Call. I just don't agree with the judgment. I don't agree with the decision. Should have went to the scorecards, in my opinion. And that's what I would have done if I was the referee.
All right. Robert, before we get to the aftermath here, talk to me a little bit about this fight. Did you think he should have been disqualified for this?
Well, no, I don't think he should have been. I think it should have went to the scorecards. If they were going to stop the fight, send it to the scorecards. I'm wondering, now, we've recently seen these Maryland referees, the Kenny Chevaliers, the Bill Clancy's, recently when this new building has opened, that they're now wearing out as far as putting boxing events in. I wonder how experienced these two referees are, because I have a feeling if this fight would have taken place in Las Vegas, California, New York, I think a different referee would have handled it differently. I don't think Uzcategui would have been disqualified. I think either A, the fight would have continued, or B, they would have went to the scorecards. I'm wondering how experienced this Maryland commission is at appointing experienced referees for boxing matches. Now, Harvey Dock, who refereed the main event yesterday, he's a New York referee, and he's refereed fights there. But when Maryland decides to use their own referees, which Kenny Chevalier and Bill Clancy are, I just wonder how experienced they are. And I wonder how experienced this commission is, because in one of the fights that we haven't talked about yet, after the fight was over, they talked about how inexperienced the judges were at working this level of fight, which we'll get to later. So I've got some serious questions now about how Maryland handles their state boxing commission, and whether it's a good idea to continue having big cards there, like Showtime or HBO level cards.
Yeah, I don't. I thought, like I said, man, I thought it was a clear disqualification. I thought it was pretty clear. You can't tell me that guy couldn't have pulled that shot.
Oh, I don't think he could have. No.
Could have.
So no way.
If the referee jumped in the middle, he would have just smacked the referee.
That's happened before too.
What I'm saying, but my thing is, I believe that if the referee jumped in right at that exact moment, that punch would have been pulled. That's what I think.
That's another point I'm going to make. Where was the referee during that exchange? Why was he so out of position?
I thought he was right there. I thought that he was right.
He wasn't.
Okay.
He wasn't. About it. You're throwing a 1-2. So the bell's about to ring. So you throw in one. The bell's like ringing right now when the punch is right there. If you're in midair throwing a punch, so like, and the bell's gonna ring right at that particular time, you can pull that hook. It's impossible.
I got to look at it again, because I thought that once he hit him with that shot, and then he comes back, when he was, he threw that shot out, the bell rang, and then he followed it up. It wasn't like he was in mid punch when he did it. He was in mid combination.
Go back. I'm going
to, because like I said, I think he was in mid punch. He was in mid combination, not mid punch, and there's a big difference.
But once again, too, Eric, he's in mid combination, right? So he's throwing the hook, and then he's doubling up the hook again. So instinctively is taught to throw punches in sequences.
Sure.
So if you throw a right hand, instinctively you're taught to throw the hook right after the right hand. Mentally, your brain is signaling to your body. Okay, so he threw and also, when you land a hook, also you're taught to double it up, because if you can touch him once, you can touch him again. Right. So he landed the hook, hurt him, and he saw that he was hurt again, and then he started the punch. And the punch landed after the bell rang. It wasn't like the bell rang and then he wound up and threw the hook. I went back and watched it. It was like when that punch landed, it was right after the bell. It wasn't like the bell rang and then he went boom. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. He didn't start the punch before the bell rang. Excuse me. He started the punch before the bell rang. He didn't start the punch after the bell rang, was what I meant to say. He did not start that punch after the bell rang. In my go back and watch it, you'll clearly see that.
I'm gonna have to now. Yeah, absolutely. What were you gonna say,
But
Robert?
guys, what about to my point? Do you have any doubts about how experienced this Maryland Commission is as far as
you made you're
referees?
You're spot on, Robbie. You're spot on because I know we're going to talk about the Bartholomy fight later, but it was a close.
That's another one I'm on disagreement with too. I mean, I thought. I mean, listen. I mean, maybe it's a young commission, maybe it's not. But again, with this one, with the Clancy situation, I thought he did the right thing with the disqualification, and we'll get to the Bartholomy situation in a minute. But I couldn't say I thought it was a close fight. I thought the right guy won. So, but we'll get to that.
I'm wondering though, if this fight took place somewhere else with a more experienced commission and a more experienced referee, would this have been the same kind of decision, or A, would the fight have continued, or B, would they went to the scorecards?
I think it's a judgment
I don't
call.
know how many other referees who have more experience would have done what Bill Clancy did yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, and you could.
I honestly think. Oh, I'm sorry, Eric. Finish your point.
I was going to say, you could say, he made a rookie mistake, or you could say it was a brave thing to do, and he made the right call. So,
can I ask you a question, Eric?
Sure.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think that he intentionally hit him after the bell, or do you think it was an do you think it was an intentional foul, or do you think it was an accidental foul, or do you just say to yourself, "Does it matter? It was after the bell. It was after he broke."
That's where I come out on it. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Respect that. I can respect that.
It was after the bell. If you ask me point blank, did he mean to do it? Did he mean to hit him after the bell? I don't think he meant to hit him after the bell. It wasn't a conscious thing. I think he heard the bell. I think he threw the punch, and that was that. Did he actually maliciously? And no, I don't think that much thought went into it. But again, a foul was committed second time. That was the other thing. It was the second time this happened. This was his second foul for hitting after the bell. At what point do we say, okay, that's enough? And that's why I think Bill Clancy did the right thing.
I respect your opinion on this. I just see it another way. But the referee was well within his rights to do what he did. I'm not saying that he was out of line. I just disagreed with it because I thought it was an accidental foul. Treated as an accidental foul. And when an accidental foul occurs and the fighter that is the recipient of that foul cannot continue, then it generally goes to the scorecards. And that's what I think should have happened here. To see a fight end like this.
Yeah, I don't think anybody likes that. I mean, yeah, you're for sure. Nobody likes to see a fight end like that. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And not only did it end there, and we're going to get to how it really ended in the train wreck of the week. Beeb, it's time.
Yeah, you ready? We're doing the train wreck. You don't want to do it? Okay, I'm going to do it right now. Check it. Choo choo, because my choo-choo train flaked on me this week.
Oh no! All right. So after the fight, Dirrell was ringside, and apparently I heard on the telecast that he apparently tried to assaulted one of the commission members. I don't exactly know why they were so angry. I really don't. The two boxers embraced at the end of the fight. Uzcategui was clearly apologetic. He knew he had screwed up. So, all that being said, enter Leon Lawson, who is Dirrell's uncle. He walked over and seemed to be talking to Uzcategui in his corner when all of a sudden unleashed a left hook to the jaw and tried to follow it up with a right hand that missed. The two were broken up, and Leon Lawson somehow disappeared and was on the run. He was found, and charges were filed against him. What on earth? And everybody who saw the video and saw this live. This guy goes over and tries to talking to him just like a normal conversation, and just rips a left hand right on the point of the chin on Uzcategui. And he outweighs, I mean, he outweighs him by what? 70, 80 pounds. That was a big guy. What do you, I mean, Beeb, what do you know, what did he look like he weighed to you?
Probably about 220-ish, I'd say about 220.
He was a little shorter. He was a little shorter, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. I mean, he was a big guy, though, you know, and he clipped him right on the chin. The funny part was Uzcategui just kind of went back. He looked stunned, but not stunned like he was hurt. He just looked like, my God, did this really just happen?
He didn't even blink. He didn't even blink. I don't know.
He wasn't out or anything like that, and that clipped him right on the point. He didn't see that shot coming. It was like, what are you doing, man? And
then he went to follow it up, and he like threw another punch, and he missed him. And like, how do you miss a target that's not moving?
The funny part, Peter Washington in the chat said he has Malinaji powers. So.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
That was great. Man. What in the world was that guy thinking? I mean, seriously, what a thug. I mean, and what about Anthony Dirrell? You know, I mean, you saw him pushing that guy. What is wrong with you people? And then, you know, Andre gets on the microphone and, you know, tries to smooth everything over in his own way, I guess. So that was something else. And Clarissa Shields, this classy lady, took to Twitter to defend her uncle Leon Lawson. Apparently, they're all related. Apparently, Shields and the Dirrells are related. I had no idea. I don't know her family tree, so I wouldn't know. But Clarissa Shields, this classy lady, took to Twitter to defend her uncle Leon Lawson. Quote, like I said, I don't care what none of y'all say, and this is her words, not mine. None of y'all say about the situation. I feel how I feel about it. Good job, Unc. And two wrongs don't make a right, but I know boxing, and when you hear the bell, you stop punching. Way to keep it classy, Clarissa. Way to keep it classy. Beeb, what were your thoughts on this whole situation?
It was disgraceful. You know, I think Leon Lawson should never be allowed near a boxing ring again when a professional fight is going on. I don't think you should be allowed in anyone's corner. I think it was disgraceful. This is the thing, and I'm not going to sit there and, you know, get into a war of words with Clarissa Shields, but I will say this. Yeah, two wrongs don't make a right. That's 100% correct. But one guy did something unintentionally. It was a mistake. And he did it with a glove on. And he did it in the heat of battle.
Yeah. Okay,
he did it, you know, in a fight. Two men with gloves on going in the ring for, you know, pride, fighting for honor. What Lawson did was just disgraceful. You know, he went over there and he was just, you know, playing it off like he was gonna, you know, say good fight or whatever. He went over there and he looked like he was being cordial. Okay, and the guy had his hands down, and you wound up with all of your might with a bare fist against an unarmed man who had his hands down by his side, who just was in a fight and, you know, was taking shots already. And you wound up and you stole on this guy, and you did it in such a despicable, cowardly way. And how anyone could defend that. I don't care if my firstborn son that did that, if I had a son that I love to death, if he did that, there's no way I could justify. I don't care. My family that did that. There is absolutely zero way I can justify it. And for anyone to try and justify it, I don't care. There's absolutely no words on this earth that can justify that despicable, cowardly, disgusting act. It is, I mean, that's all I can say, man. There's nothing else I can do to describe it any better.
Wow. Robert, what were your thoughts on it?
Well, I agree with Beeb. Mr. Lawson should not, he should get the he should get what Panama Lewis got years ago, completely banned from all boxing events.
100%.
You know, that's just the way it goes. You know.
I agree.
I mean, you can't act like that in a boxing ring. It's just not how it's you know, how you're supposed to do things. You know, I mean, and the thing about it is, they had to know that this was being on national TV. People were watching all over the country. People like us, we record these fights so we can watch them again later. We have this on our videotapes. I mean, you got your 15 minutes of fame, all right, but not the way most people want to get it. I mean, it was totally despicable. This Maryland card will go down in history for being memorable for a lot of the wrong reasons. And that's why, again, I question whether there should be any more events in this venue in the future. They've got to clean up security, and they've got to clean up getting more experienced people in the commission, because you can't have this kind of behavior when you're on national television, when millions of people are possibly watching you. And now, with all the stuff being available on the internet, people are going to be able to watch this over and over and over again. And can you imagine trying to go to court today, if you're the uncle, today or tomorrow? Say you go to court first thing tomorrow to try to get bail. How do you sit there and tell the judge, no, I didn't do this, when it's all over cameras, and there's no arguing the fact that well, you did it. Now what are you going to do? You can't defend yourself when you go to court, especially to get bail for tomorrow, because he got arrested today, folks. And you know, I'd like to be in that courtroom tomorrow to see what his defense would be. Yeah. What are you going to do? Plead in temporary insanity? You know? I mean, hell.
Uzcategui,
ridiculous.
Yeah, Uzcategui did press charges, by the way. He did press charges. He's actually, Uzcategui was actually taken to the hospital for a checkup after that. I mean, I guess it showed him getting like on an ambulance and stuff. He was stretchered out. He wasn't stretchered out of the ring. We saw him go back there, but he was stretchered into the ambulance or whatever. But yeah, man, that's not good, man. You can hurt somebody like that. You can really, really hurt somebody, especially wearing no gloves, outweighing him by, you know, clearly he was over 200 pounds. We'll just say that. He's a big dude. And clipping him right on the chin like that when you're not expecting it, just a complete sucker punch. I mean, if you're going to fight somebody, fight him. But I mean, why sucker punch him like that? I mean, that's like you said, like Beeb hit on it. It's a cowardly. That's a really cowardly thing to do, man.
Give him a fair one at least, man. Square up.
Right, square up with him. At least, you know.
Give him a fair one. Good job, Unk. Are you kidding me? That was like Ric Flair. That was like Roddy Piper giving the old eye poke. I mean, that was like, oh my God. That was
yeah. What a classy girl, huh? What a classy.
Good job, Unk.
Yeah. What a
wow.
Class girl right there, son.
Good job, yeah. Clarissa.
That's the kind of girl you want to bring home. That's the kind of girl you want to bring home right there, you know.
I mean, I gotta stop, man. She's a lady. I gotta stop.
Yeah. What's wrong with you? You've been bagging on some lady. Like, what's the matter with you?
I gotta stop.
For real. Yeah, what's the matter with you? Come on.
You gotta put me in check. Right. Put me in check.
Yeah, I put you in check. Area code 508. Area code 508. You're on.
What's happening, people? What's going on, guys?
Jay, you'll be my new fool.
This could very well be the last time you hear that. Could very well be the last time you hear that.
That could be.
My man, Georgie, and Georgie, I'm pulling for you. I'm pulling for you, baby. Has got a bet with Beeb on the Kell Brook Errol Spence fight. The bet is this: if Errol Spence does not knock out Kell Brook, Georgie gets a new intro, gets an awesome intro. We're gonna have a custom made and everything like that. It's gonna be amazing. However, if Errol Spence, and
Wonderful.
Errol Spence, all he has
That's
to do is
great.
win. All he has to do is win. All the fight has to do really is just what? Go to a decision, yeah? Or
Yes.
no. Kell Brook can win. Georgie has a variety of ways to win. Kell Brook can win by decision or knockout. Errol Spence can win by decision. That's the rule. That's it. He's
essentially
got to win.
Essentially, the Beeb has a pistol with one bullet in the chamber.
That's it. That's all he's got.
He's got one bullet in the chamber, and Georgie's got a Gatling gun. He can win in a numerous amount of ways. He's got a Gatling gun, and the Beeb's got a 38 with one bullet in the chamber, and he's still gonna win.
A 38. A 38.
Yeah, Beeb. Beeb for the win.
I always love when he does his
guy,
Howard Dean impression. Go ahead, Georgie.
There is no way that you cannot listen, guys. There is no way that you cannot love the Beast, man. The man is gracious even on the field.
We love
Even
it.
though he's gonna catch that L, he's gracious. So we gotta love him. Yo, Beeb, it's so much to talk about boxing right now, but let me go to that bit real quick. Like we saying, I mean, I got many weights out. It's true. So you're gonna make your nickname, right? Beating the ass with Beeb. You're gonna make you coming out for your name, buddy. Because if you really coming against the odds, so I mean, I don't know, brother. I give it to you. I really give it to you. But let me go to the other fights, bro. Great fights, right? This weekend. It been awesome.
Absolutely.
It was a
And you
good
guys
weekend.
happy?
Yeah, they were all good this
It
week.
was a good weekend, man. I can't
They
complain.
were good, yeah.
Yeah, but there's been a lot of knockouts. I don't see a lot of controversies, though. Like, the whole thing about what happened with the Dirrell fight, man, that referee, these so-called sanctioning bodies, they have to put some capable people dealing with these top athletes in the world. This is world-class stuff. And if the dude is giving me already warnings about the hitting after the bell, when you're going to start putting your body in between them? That's what a referee's job is, right?
Good point.
So we wouldn't have this controversial hitting after the bell.
Good
That's what I
point.
said. That's what I said earlier. Where was this referee? He was out. He was having a Coke and a sandwich on the
I
sidelines.
don't know even if they don't give a check or not, but they have to be capable to just go in there. How many footage you see on YouTube of referee getting knocked out back in the day? If they're out there, that's what your job is, just to get in between, especially if you already get to do a couple of how many times he won before that? He looked kind of WWE to me, if you ask me, because I mean, if you already know that the dude is doing it, why you ain't putting yourself in the middle? Just, I don't know, I just don't understand. It just looks fishy. Weird, really weird. I want to give a shout out, special shout out to everybody in Santo Domingo, everybody in New York, all Dominican and half Dominican, and these people went to represent for Felix. The side difference was just too much, bro. And Crawford is gifted. But I cannot be talking his win down because Crawford did out there what he got to do. But, the way my dude went down, he didn't went down on his stool. They couldn't stop it because it was a mismatch after a while, But I don't know, man. I'm really proud of him. He was on that loss. That was great. Love it. Beautiful. It was great for boxing. It's been amazing. This year being the best year in who knows how long. So everybody out there who paying for the Showtime or paying for the HBO, they got the money worth. I cannot complain. I got nobody, no mafia to complain, nobody. Because like I say, there wasn't really like everybody went down on the shield. The Peruvian dude with the... That's another thing there. I would like to get in Beltran, man. Beltran been being the sparring partner for Pacquiao when he was making all these millions and millions of dollars. And all of a sudden, this man got to pull up a win to make sure his status here as a resident and whatnot. He gets certified so he don't get deported. What kind of bullshit is that? How these people dealing with these trillions of dollars cannot have a living having a name like Beltran has? What's going on here?
Well, Georgie, you bring up a good point, but our government right now is a mess. And if you're a person who's not originally from this country, unfortunately, you have to look over your shoulder. I mean, this guy, he'd been here for almost 18 years, and yet yet he was told that if he didn't win the fight, he was going to be separated from his family and be sent back to Mexico and never be allowed to come back.
Holy macaroni, man. I mean, I don't understand this. This is our name that they be out there.
Seriously, how crazy is that?
I mean, the man hasn't committed no crimes or anything. I don't know if we got the criminal past, but I'm saying he's a name. He be doing major work, even as a sparring partner, and putting work out there. Because Beltran, even winning a lot of things, he always comes to fight. He's always entertaining. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't get it, bro. I just don't get it. But besides that, I mean, Dirrell got to get his fucking hands choppy. I think this dude getting nice time after the goddamn bell one more time. I'm done with him. So there got to be a point that you got to have your motherfucking guard out, buddy.
It was after the bell. It was a cheap shot.
Getting to WWE. Getting out of WWE to me, bro. I just don't buy it like that. I don't get it.
Cheap shot.
And the whole idiot, you remember when Walmart fought him Puerto Rico in the pay-per-view that he fought the old Puerto Rican basket?
I think so.
That they went after the bill. The opponent came out. You remember that?
Yeah.
So we're most of them high on this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So people got to understand. That's another thing. You know, you have to have some type of security and shit eventuality like this happening. Because you know they do hit him after the bell. So why do you think they call him when already yelling before they even got inside the ring? So who's putting an eye on this? You know, so this network, the so-called conglomerate of fraud, baggery, the constant bodies, always somebody you got to put the blame on somebody. You have to. You have to put your fucking foot down on these people's throat. And that's the only way we get in this fight. If it isn't for people for social media talking, we will not be getting these fights, you know? So we got to keep the pressure on. I guess I took a lot of your time. Nice talking to you guys. I got to go. Love you.
All right, man. We love you too, Georgie. Awesome. He brings up an excellent point about those referees being in position. Because he's right. At the end of the bell, that referee should know the time. I mean, he should. He's got to watch on
what I said.
the time. So when
I said earlier,
close, he needs to move in. Now, it doesn't make it any less of a foul. But in order to employ their jobs better, for them to do their jobs better, that's what I think they need to start stressing here. You know, that's just what I need to start stressing. Now, Wood, incidentally, you guys know Wood. Wood was at the fights this weekend in Maryland. And Wood apparently has no voice now. So he's going to try to call. He's trying to call in now. Let's see if he's got some laryngitis here. So maybe now we'll see how it goes here. Let me bring him on here.
He can type in through the chat if he can't talk.
Yeah, but
I don't
now.
have my computer up right now.
There you go.
Okay. All right.
Wood, you were there this weekend.
Just wanted that. What's going on, fellas?
What's happening, man?
What's up, Wood?
Yeah, man.
It's good.
So,
but
what were your thoughts? What were your thoughts on the Dirrell fight?
On Saturday. Yeah.
Go ahead, Robbie.
Yeah, I was going to say, since you were there on Saturday, what's your thoughts about how the commission handled both of these fights yesterday? Not only the Dirrell, but the one before that with the inexperienced judges.
Yeah, it was a lot of sketchy stuff going on, and the way that the Dirrell fight, you know, the conclusion of that, it was handled. It had an awkward feel to it. Nothing dissimilar to what we saw in Cincinnati with the Marcus Brown, Thomas Williams fight, Eric.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
You know, the lengthy decision that it took to sort that out.
Yeah.
So kind of in a way, I mean, maybe they were taking their time so that the right decision could be made. But I'm with Eric. I don't think there was any way that fight could continue. And to Habib's point, he did try to get up. I think in being a fighter, Dirrell tried to get up because that's what you do. But then he did take a look over to his corner, and his brother, Claressa Shields, I think it was another either brother or cousin or something, they all started waving to him to stay down. Just like just like in Cincinnati with Top Dog, when his corner, advised him to kind of stay down because he was in trouble. But I just want to say, I was sitting next to Round by Round Boxing. I think his name is Alex Burgos, another guy, and then I think DC Mike is another guy that I was sitting by. We all thought that Dirrell was starting to take Uzcategui apart.
Really?
He was doing a lot of veteran things, and I think the foul kind of culminated from him becoming frustrated over the previous 2 rounds. And I disagree with Beeb. I felt like Uzcategui totally went away from the body the last 2 rounds. He was just head hunting solely. And I felt like that's why the referee should have had a better pulse on the fight and understood how frustrated that Uzcategui was growing. And he should have been stepping in, at that moment when the foul went off, because I said it was a little bit of desperation that was coming out of Uzcategui of how he was going to finish out the rest of the fight. So I believe that's why Lawson and their side felt like it was intentional, because like I said, I think if you were there, you kind of saw the sportsmanship that was displayed earlier in the fight and the first foul. It was a change in the tone of the fight. And I felt, we got sent the scores and everything afterwards and saw where it was, but a lot of us felt like Dirrell was running away with the fight.
Wow, that's interesting. Let me ask you about did you think that he should have been disqualified, or did you think that it was accidental, or what were your thoughts on that when he got hit?
No, I agree with you, Eric. I thought he had to. I thought you had to stop the fight. Yeah. I mean, he was hurt badly. His eyes were glossy. I think it would have been very. It would have been very neglectful or whatever to go back and try to restart that fight.
Yeah, let me ask you a question real quick.
He stopped it immediately. He stopped it immediately, too. That was the other thing, too. He stopped that fight immediately.
Not immediately, because he went to the commission first. Go back and watch the tape. He went
to the commission and told them, "Hey, this is what I'm doing."
And then he went back over and told Dirrell.
Yeah, so that's what he did. That's what he did.
Yeah.
He was.
Let me ask you this
about stopping the fight.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Wood. Now, you were there, and you said that the eyes were glossy and he was out of it, right? But wasn't he having a conversation with his corner? Like, wasn't he talking to his corner? And also, did you not see when the referee initially said, "Are you okay?" and then he nodded yes twice? Did you see those 2 things, or am I wrong here? Because I went back and watched the tape 3 times, and I saw those 2 things where he was actually talking to his corner, and he actually nodded yes that he was okay. Like, again, I wasn't there. I'm not in his body, but I still question how hurt he was if he was able to talk and nod and acknowledge.
Right. I think he was doing what a fighter typically does in trying to, assure the referee that he can go. I think that's what kicked in first, was like, let the referee know that I can continue. And then he did fall down on his face. I think he was badly hurt. And then I don't think he got a chance to converse with his team until a lot of back and forth went on with the referee and the commission. But Anthony and Claressa and the other family members, they all were very, were emphatic about stay down. And I think that's why they were like that, because they thought he was up on the cards too from his last 3 or 4 rounds. That's why they were like, you got this one in, you're ahead in the fight right now, in their opinion. And then you have the foul. So I thought they felt like any way it was going to play out, that their man was going to win. So I think that's kind of what the thinking was from the Dirrell camp.
I would instruct my fighter to stay down. I just would. I mean, after something like that, absolutely.
When you take two clean ones like that, and to Georgie's point, that's one thing about this foul, and that's kind of like part of, and that's kind of why he was getting clipped, in the first and second rounds when Uzcategui really had it going. It's kind of like one of them was he was coming off of some ring rust.
Yeah, he was.
And Uzcategui was like doing a lot. He was doing a lot of stuff off of some shoulder rolls and stuff, and his movement was really catching Dirrell up until like the third round when things kind of the momentum in the fight kind of changed. But I don't know. It was an ugly scene. And one thing about Lawson, you guys were totally right, and Habib's summarization of that whole sequence of events was horrible. But the thing was, your fighter is okay. He went over and told the man that he forgave him, and kind of looked at it as collateral damage in the sport of boxing, and then you go and do what you go and do after the fact. Really shows like motive and everything. Like, you're right. I don't see how the guy can ever be active in the sport of boxing again with the decision that he made.
No way.
Can I ask you one more question real quick? Are you on the same page as Eric too with this one, regardless of if it was intentional or unintentional? You just look at it as it being a foul, then it is what it is. The fighter couldn't continue, so that's why the disqualification is justified, just regardless of what the intent was. It happened, and you got to deal with it because it happened. Does that feel as well, or do you think intentional or non-intentional should play a factor in the decision of the disqualification?
Man, I just think it's very hard. I don't know who's qualified to really crawl inside a guy. But like I said, if you were there, you kind of got a sense that Uzcategui was like.
Wood, if you can hear me, you're cutting out on us. Wood, can you hear me? I think we might have lost him.
Yeah.
All right.
You hear me?
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, I hear you now.
All right, Wood, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah, you were
cutting out before.
Yeah, you were cutting in and out.
Yeah, like I said, I just think if you were there and kind of seeing the back and forth between the two guys, it was a lot of the unnecessary side of boxing, like come just developing over the course of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think, like I said, I really feel like the foul. I agree with you, Beeb. I think that combination was already dialed up and in play. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think it was like intentional, but I feel like Uzcategui was at a point where he was like trying to look for any advantage that he could get to put the fight back in his favor.
Okay. All right. I got you.
Very good. All right, Wood, I know you got laryngitis or you lost your voice. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just about to cut you off here. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's the same, though. Oh, it was a great introduction to the Polymenology before the fight, and he was very. He said he might have said it on the show. I didn't get to hear the audio of that, but he said that he expected the most from Jose on the card that night. Looking for him to be his breakout star, and I think by the start that he had, I was like, wow, this kid is nice. He's got a lot of talent, a lot of ability, and I just hope this doesn't really diminish anything for him moving forward. I don't know what that fight would have, maybe he would have pulled the fight out. Had the foul not happened. It's just, I hope there's still a future for the guy.
Yeah, I think there is. I would much rather see Uzcategui fight again than I would Dirrell. Put it that way. I mean, for sure. For sure. Yeah, so absolutely. All right, Wood. I'm going to go ahead and let you go, man. Let you get your voice back here from doing all that screaming over in Baltimore. So there you go. All right, man. Thank you so much.
Hey, great show, guys. Always good work. Yep, take care.
All right, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Wood.
Wood, so we got a live perspective on what went on there, man. How about that?
And again, I mean, it's okay to disagree, but you guys made some good points, and you believe what you believe, and you're not out of line for believing what you believe, because it is up to the referee's discretion, and it could have went a couple different ways, and one of the ways it could have went was the way you guys saw it, and it did go that way. So it is what it is.
There it is. There it is. All right, let's get through these next couple of fights here. Bartholomy versus Kell, Relic. This was on the undercard of the Dirrell fight. Bartholomy won a unanimous decision over Kell, Relic, 115, 111, 116, 110, 117, 109. Bartholomy was down and he was hurt in the 5th round, but came back and dropped Relic in the 8th. A lot of people thought Relic was robbed here. I didn't think so. I really didn't. I thought that Bartholomy won this fight. Beeb, what were your thoughts on it? The scores may have been a little skewed, but the right guy, I thought, took it home. What were your thoughts on it?
The way I saw it was it could have been 114, 112 either way, or it could have been a draw. So, yeah, it was a close fight. I thought it was going to be like one of them split decision type fights or a majority decision type fights at the end. Again, the scorecards do kind of put a damper on things. But at the end of the day, like I said, it could have went either way. And by Bartholomy getting the decision, it wasn't such a horrible thing. But, the scorecards are going to be what people talk about in this fight. And it's going to stand out. So it gives the impression that, the judges didn't really know what they were doing, and they may not have been qualified, as Robbie said, to have been there. But at the end of the day, I thought Bartholomy came on. I thought he won the 12th round. I thought he came on the championship rounds. And he could have very well earned a hard-fought decision because of that. So I don't think it was a robbery. I just think it was a horrible scoring of the fight.
I thought 117, 109 was a little wide. That was a little wide for me.
Yeah.
How
did you score it, Eric? How did you score it?
116, 110 sounded about right to me. I didn't actually score on paper, but as I was watching the fight, you know how you're watching the fight, you're like, okay, that kind of thing. So I didn't have like an official scorecard, but as I was watching it, Relic, I mean, it was tied, going to the mid rounds, I thought, but I thought Bartholomy took control at the end. I mean,
he did. He definitely came on in the championship rounds without question. I think the body work was definitely paying dividends for him, and you can see the effect it had on Relic. Definitely.
For sure. He was definitely hurt in that 5th round, though. For sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's move ahead because we're gonna try to trudge through this here. David Benavidez versus Porky Medina. Benavidez knocks out Porky Medina in the 8th round with a vicious knockout. Benavidez looked very, very good in this fight, and he put him to sleep. Man, that was good stuff. And also too from Japan, Naoya Inoue, the monster, versus David Rodriguez. Inoue wins by a KO in the 3rd round. I still. Again, man, and I'll say it over and over, everybody is a lot of people are really high on this guy until I see him fight somebody of substance. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I'm not hating on the guy. I just maybe I'm just ignorant to the guy. Maybe I don't know. I don't know him. I haven't seen enough of him. So, everybody seems to say he's the goods, but like I said, man, until we see him with a live body in there, man, it is what it is. And there's plenty of live bodies around his area. So, I don't know. All right. Upcoming fights. May 26th. Is that, I believe that's a Friday. Yeah, Robbie?
Yeah, May 26th would be a Friday. You're correct, Eric.
Awesome. From Chicago on Unimas, Robbie's favorite station. They're really promoting Michael Conlon on Unimas, which seems kind of odd to me, but hey, whatever. Michael Conlon versus Alfredo Chanez. 6 rounds featherweights, and Alex Saucedo versus Wilbert Lopez, 6 rounds junior welterweights. Michael Conlon, this is his 2nd or 3rd pro fight, and in Chicago, so it should be a pretty big fight. Michael Conlon should win this fight with no problem, but I'll be interested. I mean, I'll definitely be watching to see how he does. I wish I could get down to Chicago and see it, but can't make it down there. It's just not in the cards this time. So from let's see what else here. Andrew Selby versus Christopher Rosales, 12 rounds flyweights from Cardiff, Wales. You'll probably have to Box Nation that or ask Davey Boy Essex. And let me see, on Saturday, May 27th, the big one, Kell Brook versus Errol Spence Jr. for Brook's IBF welterweight title.
It will be Spence's after the fight. Don't.
I think it is too.
Make no mistake about that.
Exactly. George Groves versus Fedor Chudinov, 12 rounds for the vacant WBA super middleweight title. Lawrence Okoli also on that undercard versus Russell Henshaw, 4 rounds cruiserweights. Let me see any other recognizable names on there. Not really. Let's see what else here. Orlando Salido on BN Sports on Saturday from Mexico. Orlando Salido versus Amfan Cerrillo, 10 rounds, junior lightweights. And that's it for this weekend. But we do have a big one, and so let's talk about it here. We have Kell Brook and Errol Spence Jr., 12 rounds for Brook's IBF welterweight title. I'll tell you what, man, this is an interesting one. And the interesting part is going to be once Spence beats him, are you going to tell me that, well, it was just, he was washed up from the, he was coming down in weight, or he had been hurt. Triple G took the fight out of him. I'm waiting to hear the excuses because I think Spence is going to dispatch him pretty easy. That's just my opinion. I think Spence is a better boxer, and I think Spence handles him very, very easy in this fight. I don't see it being a war. I see it being a one-sided demolition. Beeb, what are your thoughts?
I could not agree more with you, Eric. And I hate saying it, to be honest with you, because I like Kell Brook as a fighter. I think he's a very talented fighter. But unfortunately, I think you're going to hear those things that you just mentioned. Because again, he went up to 160 and he's going back down to 147. You're going to hear about that. You're going to hear about the eye. You're going to hear about the orbital bone. You're going to hear about Triple G taking everything out of him. And it's going to be unfortunate. And I don't think Spence will get full credit for this victory after the fight.
No.
And it's going to be horrible. It's going to be unfortunate because Errol Spence is a very, very skilled fighter and is one of the most entertaining fighters that I like to watch. I really enjoy watching him fight, and I just like seeing him move in that ring. I like his body. I like the body control. I like the athleticism. I like the timing. I like him just finding those holes, dissecting his opponent when he's up close, delivering those body shots, staying in the pocket and moving from the waist up and evading shots and having his opponent miss him by inches. And just being able to see that little space, be able to thread that needle and land those vicious blows up close. I mean, this guy is very, very dangerous. He's very, very, very well-rounded. He's very, very versatile. He's going to be a tough out. He's going to be the man at welterweight. I'm envisioning it. I think he beats Keith Thurman. I think he beats Danny Garcia. I don't think there's anyone in this division that can beat him. I think if Floyd came back, I think he would beat Floyd too. That's how highly I think of this kid. And he's going to be the man at welterweight without question. And then when he moves up to junior middleweight, I think he's going to be the man there as well. That's just how I see it. And Kell Brook, as good as he is, I don't think he's a great inside fighter. I think he's very vulnerable up close. I think that he's always had weight problems at 147, at junior middleweight right now. And, that Golovkin fight could very well be the fight that did alter him. That could be that, a lot of times in a fighter's career, he has that one fight that just changes things for him. That, Fernando Vargas, when he fought Felix Trinidad, after that fight, he was never same thing with Chavez Taylor. This could be very good point, Eric. This could be one of those types of fights where the Golovkin really, really damaged him. I hope I'm wrong, but it could very well be that the case.
He took a lot of damage in that fight.
And again, you could talk about fighters moving up And then someone mentioned to me about Henry Armstrong. Okay, that's all well and good, but he went up one weight class and moved back down one weight class. This guy went up 2 weight classes and is moving back down 2 weight classes. I don't think it's ever gone well for any fighter up 2 weight classes and then tried to go back down 2 more weight classes. So that's a significant jump and a significant decrease in a very short period of time.
Right.
A very short period of time. And think about it, you know, it's not the same thing as it was back in the day when you had same-day weigh-ins, because fighters were more to the weight that they were fighting at. It wasn't like they were weighing in and then rehydrating 15, 20 pounds the following day. I think you have these problems. I think that does more harm than good, in my opinion. Redundant that the IBF has that second-day weigh-in, because it makes no sense, because right then and there in itself, you're saying that the day before weigh-in, so you're already operating with a flawed system. Instead of just doing a one same-day weigh-in, you're doing a weigh-in before the fight and a weigh-in the day of the fight. So it's like ridiculous. It's like you're compounding the problem very simply by just going back to same-day weigh-ins. And if guys can't make the weight, then they move up a weight class. And then it's not really going to change anything. It's just going to make everyone fight at the weight they're supposed to fight at. And, you know, there's going to be no weight bullying. And, you know, even you know, these young kids who can do it early in their careers, people don't realize the damage it's going to do to them later in life. Your body's just not meant to do that. You're not meant to deplete your body, you know, 2 or 3 times a year to that level, and then think you're going to replenish everything and put everything back in. I mean, it's just not going to work. But go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that coming down in weight is going to be more of a detriment than fighting Triple G was. I really do.
Yes,
that's going to be a bigger issue there. Robert, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, you know, I kind of said this before Kell Brook fought Triple G, but I honestly think these 2 decisions are career suicide for a guy like Kell Brook. He should be fighting at 154. Right now, if you look at the 154 landscape, he would do so much better at that weight class. I mean, look, I understand he wanted to save the promotion and help out his promoter, and he had the chance of a lifetime to fight, you know, the middleweight king, so to speak. But I think that decision is going to come back to haunt him, because that fight does not prepare him for what he's going to face in this fight. And I totally agree with Beeb. I think Errol Spence could be the next one that dominates, not 1 weight class, not 2 weight classes, but possibly 3. I mean, the future is so bright for him. This is career suicide, and I don't see it ending any other way than Kell Brook being asleep on the canvas and Errol Spence walking out of there with that title and him thoroughly dominating the 147, 154, and 160 pound weight classes in the future.
Beeb, let me ask you something. Why did Kell Brook take this fight? You know, the thing is that his handlers, everybody wanted him to drop that title and move to 154. Why on earth did he keep this fight?
I honestly don't know, Eric. I can't make sense of it. The only thing I can think of is maybe it's the only way he can lure Amir Khan into the ring, because Amir Khan is a 147-pound fighter, and the biggest money fight out there right now for Kell Brook is Amir Khan. He thinks that in order to get that, you know, get the golden goose, that he has to stay at this weight class, possibly. That's the only thing I can.
The golden goose, though, in the weight class. You know what I mean? I mean, is it?
No, I'm going to explain to you. I'm going to explain to you. No, I'm going to explain to you why I believe what I believe in this case. These 2 have a history. They have a background. They have a backstory, I should say. Excuse me. And you know, they have a rivalry. And when you put these 2 guys together, and you put it in a stadium in the UK. Just like Chavez, again, Is Chavez, you know, the money man in any division?
Yeah.
But you put him in with Canelo. You had that. You had the stage was set. Mexico versus Mexico. Who's Mexico's best fighter? They had a rivalry. They had a backstory. So you could put Chavez in there with Badu Jack at 168. Would it have done a million pay-per-view buys? Absolutely not. Is that a better fight? Yeah, it makes more sense. So yeah, I mean, you know, again, you're looking at best versus the best, and I'm looking, you know, at an event.
Very much. Yeah.
This is an event when you put these two rivals, these two UK rivals who have been talking back and forth for years. So this fight, these two together, it's the formula for a big fight. But if you put Kell Brook in with anyone else, or you put Amir Khan in with anyone else, even if you put Amir Khan in with Manny Pacquiao, I don't even think I think it will do okay. I don't think it would do as well as if you put Amir Khan in there with Kell Brook and you put it in the UK stadium because of the backstory. See what I'm saying? So that's why I think the fight would be a huge event. These guys know that.
That makes a lot of sense, man. Go ahead, Robert.
But Beeb, if Errol Spence puts Kell Brook to sleep, like a lot of us think he will, do you think the Amir Khan fight is still there at either 147 or 154, even if Kell Brook is stretchered out of the ring on Saturday?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yes,
right,
I think it is because Amir Khan was stretched out in his last fight. So you know what I'm saying? So again, the way you market, this is the way you market it. Both guys have to come back, you know, overcome adversity, come back from a tragedy, come back. You know, both these guys still have it. You know what I'm saying? That adds another wrinkle to the storyline, right?
Yeah.
And you got to put it at 154, don't you? You got to put it at 154.
It could be. I bet you it'd be like at a catch weight of 150, maybe, or something like that. Like, yeah. I gotta call Eddie tonight, man. I gotta talk to Eddie about this.
Yeah, Eddie fed another boy to the wolves, man. There you go. Your boy just fed another one of his fighters to the wolves, son.
I'm gonna call Eddie.
Call him a wank for me when you call him. So that's the schedule. Sounds like we're all going with Kell Brook in this one, man. It should not Kell Brook.
Errol Spence.
It should be a cakewalk for Errol Spence. I don't know, man. A couple of people in the chat are saying Brook, man, but yeah, I just got to stick with Errol Spence on this one, man.
And by the way, 5:15 Eastern on Saturday, so set your DVRs.
And set your DVRs to go long too. That's the other thing too. If you set the DVR and just play it, set it for like an hour. I always set mine for 3 hours after the fight because, especially with the fights overseas, they go long. That telecast, it's not uncommon for it to get delayed and all that other good stuff, man. So Eddie Hearn doesn't respect anyone's time, so he just lets it go long. So make sure to set it up.
He's got a hard job over there.
He's got no respect.
So many nations watching the event. I mean, it's almost impossible to accommodate everybody. At least he's giving you the opportunity to watch it on Showtime.
He's such a weak.
Sky Sports. I mean, this guy is giving you so many outlets. You can even watch fights on AWE with the Roku. Go, Eddie! Eddie Hearn, baby!
He wasn't even promoting those fights on AWE.
Well, I'm sure he had something.
Get out of here.
Well,
dialed it in. He dialed it in for sure, no question. He's been dialing in for quite some time. All right, let's move on to our news and rumors section. The champ, Shannon Briggs, tested positive for increased testosterone. Shannon Briggs has tested positive for dramatically increased levels of testosterone, which will force his fight with Fresno Cano to be canceled. He got popped by VADA. VADA came in and said, hey, this isn't good, man. And Okendo was the one who actually pulled for the VADA testing in the first place.
He's got the dirty pee-pee.
Yes, he sure does, man. The ratio was 7.89 to 1. The threshold, and you're allowed to have that a little bit of a limit here. The limit is 4 to 1. That's still quite a jump, man. So Briggs was 7.89 to 1. Allowable threshold is 4 to 1. Mine, incidentally, if you're interested, is 85 to 1. I just had mine tested, so there you go. I'm all man, son. Beeb, what were you as shocked? Were you and Robert as shocked as I was when I read this? I mean, you look at Shannon Briggs. What is he? 45 years old. He looks like a comic book character. He looks like he's a superhero. He's shredded to the nines. I was absolutely 100% shocked that he tested positive for increased testosterone.
Again, I'm going to say something very controversial here. 'Cause I've never been this watchdog for PEDs because, quite honestly, I think that the testing will never catch up with the science. I think all these guys are doing, most of the top guys are doing something. And again, I hope I don't get sued, but it is what it is. I'm not mentioning names, but I think most of these top guys are doing something. So I am not at all surprised here. The only thing that surprises me is this. These guys are top level athletes. They have a lot of things at their disposal because they're wealthy guys. They when you're at Shannon Briggs level, or you're at like any top level fighter, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, whatever, you have know about sports medicine. They know about supplementation. They know about everything. So I get surprised. Guy, and I don't even know, maybe Shannon Briggs maybe not be that type of guy because he hasn't been really making a lot of money as of late. But I see other guys like Povetkin, who's had some $1 million paydays, pretty wealthy guy. When I see guys like that who have these types of doctors and sports medicine type guys, these guys that have been around and they know how to work their way around these tests. When I see guys pop positive, I say to myself, how can't they not beat these tests? That's what surprises me. So yeah, Briggs may be a different story, but I'm not surprised, not at all. I'm just surprised that they're not smart enough to not get caught, because I think so many people are using them, and they know how to pass these tests. It's not really hard to pass these tests. There's several tests, and I just get surprised when they get caught, to be quite honest with you.
Robert, what were your thoughts on Shannon Briggs testing positive? Were you surprised?
No, I'm not surprised, and I'm glad this fight's not happening. Both of these guys are too old to be in the ring, so let's forget about Shannon Briggs and Fred.
That is age discrimination. Son. That is age discrimination.
Why are you shaming this guy? He was doing his best.
Horrible. That is horrible, man.
I'm going to call it the way I see it, brothers.
All right, let's move ahead here. Miguel Cotto drops Rock Nation. Unable to come to a financial agreement on his next fight, Miguel Cotto has dropped. Well, they said they have parted ways. Multiple sources reported to ESPN that they actually parted ways instead of Miguel Cotto dropping him. Cotto had been in training camp with Freddie Roach at the Wild Card Gym, and he was preparing for a fight against Yoshihiro Kamagai, which is not a bad fight, but it's not really the kind of fight you want to see Cotto in. It's one of the IRA fight. That was scheduled for June 24th, but Cotto just left camp and said that the fight hadn't been, and the fight has actually been canceled. It wasn't even formally announced. So, so he dropped Rock Nation. So I think Rock Nation is a great move for Rock Nation. I mean, what does Cotto really bring to the table? He's not really fighting anybody. He doesn't want to fight anybody, and he brings ridiculous demands to the table when he does.
And let's face it, Miguel Cotto's done, folks, and that's why they've got Kamagai on the July 15th card on HBO, because that way he could stay in training and prepare for somebody else. But Miguel Cotto, you've had a wonderful career, but it's time to leave the stage. You've thoroughly disappointed people recently, and you've been nothing but a diva. So good riddance to bad rubbish.
Wow. So you don't want to see him fight anybody like at the upper echelon guys, Robert?
No, I want to see him leave. It's time for Manny Pacquiao to leave. I don't want to see Floyd fight again. It's time for the changing of the guard.
Are you telling me that you don't want to see Floyd Mayweather fight Conor McGregor? Is that what I'm understanding?
Hell no, I don't. Hell no.
All right. Keith, one-time-a-year Thurman is out with elbow surgery. Unified welterweight champion Keith Thurman is recovering from surgery on his right elbow and expects to be out of action until 2017, the end of 2017. Quoted from Keith Thurman, "I have loose bodies in my elbow, similar to what baseball pitchers have. They had to go in and take the loose bodies and calcium deposits." He said it was getting in the way of the hinging of the elbow, and when I threw a punch, it was causing pain and inflammation. I noticed it before the Danny Garcia fight. There was no way to get rid of it without surgery. I'm healing and getting the function back so that I can be pain-free. What about this, Robert? Do you believe Keith Thurman?
Well, I guess you have to believe him, but I go back to this whole Premier Boxing Champions way of doing business with their fighters. They put them in a fight, and they either win or lose, and then they put them back on the shelf. That is not the way to handle your career. I really am sick of seeing guys like Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, Adonis Stevenson, people like this take one fight a year, win or lose, and then you don't see them until next year. I mean, if you're a boxing fan and you're not doing a show like we do, how are you supposed to get behind a guy when you only see him once a year? To me, I am an old school kind of guy, but the more you're active, the more I want to pay attention to you. When you're not in the ring, I don't really care about you. Simple as that.
There you go. There you go. HBO is going to put on a triple header on July 15th. Headlining will be Miguel Berchelt versus Takashi Miura. That's going to be a really good fight. Jezreel Corrales versus Robinson Castellanos. And Joe Smith Jr. This is the one I'm actually most looking forward to versus Sullivan.
I love this fight.
I love this fight, man. That's a great, great fight, right?
Wow.
Robert, what are your thoughts on the triple header? HBO, not Showtime, Robert.
Hey,
HBO's coming
like
to the dance, baby.
I like it. Hey, I like it. And it's going to be at the Fabulous Forum where Joe Smith conquered Bernard Hopkins and threw him out of the ring. And hey, I don't know if Joe can pull this off, but I'd like to see him pull another rabbit out of the hat. I think he's great for the sport, man. I'm sorry we have to wait till July, but good for him. I think this will be a good card.
There you go.
Robbie, does this mean you're not going to cancel your HBO subscription?
No, I'm not going to cancel my HBO subscription. I'm just disgusted that Peter Nelson makes us pay more for the real fights and puts fights on regular HBO that probably should be on some other station.
Yeah, but we got Game of Thrones coming up in July. You're not excited about that?
Oh, of course I am. But this is boxing. We're not doing an entertainment show here.
You gonna get a Joe Smith Jr. T-shirt, or what's going on here?
No, like I said, I'm focused on the boxing, and hey, I hope
90 seconds.
Hell, I think Joe Smith can beat Stevenson if Fonfora.
I think Fonfora is going to beat Stevenson. Incidentally, if you're on the line waiting to get in, just stay on the line. If you hear the 90-second cue or whatever, just stay on the line. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
we're coming to the phone in a second. Yeah, we'll get you in a minute. Canelo Alvarez, the new king of pay-per-view. Golden Boy announced that Canelo Chavez.
Seconds.
I hate that lady, man. 60. You guys hear that? Is it just in my ear?
No, everyone hears it.
You're the only one that hears that, Eric.
Robbie.
All right. See, Joe's with me here.
Oh,
all right.
you do? Okay.
Golden Boy announced that the Canelo Chavez pay-per-view will do over 1 million buys, and that's an official number from the horse's mouth. They put out a press release to announce it. Canelo, new king of pay-per-view, takes over Floyd Mayweather's spot. Now, will he sell as much as Floyd? Probably not, but that's okay. Thomas Delorme, now driving for Uber. Delorme explained that he was part of Floyd's famous TMT team to TMZ. He said, now I'm part of the team, but just not the money. Apparently, he said he's
10 seconds.
driving Uber to make ends meet because he can't get a fight. There's apparently some kind of dispute. TMZ actually reached out to TMT, the money team or whatever, to find out, and they just never returned them. So they went mum on the subject. But yeah, the poor guy is driving Uber to make ends meet. This is a world-class boxer right here, man. That's just sad. And he can't really get it. It sounds like in order to get out of his contract, it's going to cost a lot of money. He doesn't have the money anyway. So yeah, that's rough, man. That's rough. That sucks.
That's too bad.
Robert Helenius and Derek Chisora, they're going to be rescheduled to after the summer. That fight was supposed to take place just in a few days, I guess, or maybe this weekend or next weekend, something like that. Anyway, that fight's not going to take place until after the summer. So unfortunate. And Pablo Cesar Cano versus Fidel Maldonado is set for June 17th. So that should be a good one. That should be a good one too. 773, you are live.
Hey guys.
Hey, what's going on, man? How are you?
Where? Good time. Yeah, good times. Third time. Hey, I'm coming in late. I gotta warn you. So I'm sure you covered a lot of this tonight. So a lot of things going on today,
we just appreciate you calling.
Is what it is.
Sure.
Sure, no problem, man. Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I gotta call in. Gotta chime in.
That's right.
So yeah, busy weekend of fights. Wow. Last weekend not much going on, and this, whoa. I mean, it was like last night and my Sunday morning was all filled with boxing. So it's great. Dirrell's the only one I missed. I saw Beeb put up a thing on there, and that was like the one I still haven't seen.
That's the fight you missed?
I'm sure you covered it. So
that's seriously the fight.
One I missed. How horrible.
Oh, that's horrible, man. Of all the fights and all the controversy.
Did you record it,
yeah.
Dale?
I can pick it up. Yeah, I can get it.
Yeah, because
you got to check it out. You got to check it out, right?
Okay. All right, that's funny. I did see B put a whole thing. I was like, all right, B put like a freaking 15-minute video on this. It's got to be good, but I didn't see a second of it. So, but I mean, Crawford. Diaz. It's not like this is not just some freaking no name. Whatever. Man, Crawford is just the goods, man. I did give Diaz the second round, and that is it. I don't know how you guys scored it, but that was literally the only round I gave him. And then,
10-0.
What's that?
10-0. That's how I scored it. All Crawford.
Yeah, I could, and honestly, I could not dispute that at all. I just thought the second round he did like just enough, tagged Crawford like a couple times. Not that it really hurt him, but I went with the old, who would you rather be at the end of this round? And I was like, all right, this one round, I might rather be Diaz. But, like, that was it. But that was, I mean, dude, yeah, I don't know, I thought him calling out Pacquiao, that was pretty cool, pretty interesting, just being a, Bob Arum guy. I don't know how Bob felt about that, but I thought that was interesting.
I was thinking that same thing when he called him out.
I know politically, who knows?
I was thinking that same thing when he called him out because they look kind of sheepish in his corner, kind of looked like, they had a look on their face when he did that. And I was like, what is this? I wonder if that's like taboo or something like that because, yeah, I liked it. I liked the fact that he called out all those people, man. But, yeah, I like that one especially.
Yeah, I thought that was especially cool because it was like, man, I don't think he's supposed to be saying, So, but more power to him. I mean, he's especially if he says anything of substance, it's a bonus. It's Christmas because man, he's one of my favorites. I think Crawford's awesome, but wow, what a brutal interview. I mean, it's
yeah.
So if he says anything like exciting.
He's absolutely horrible. He's absolutely horrible to the media, man.
Yeah.
Well, they said like he'll be at a press conference and say, I'll talk to. I won't talk to you, or you. I mean, call out like 6 of them and then say I'll talk to anybody else. I mean, it was just like, and the worst part of it, like if you're trying to build your star, that's not the way to go about it, But I don't know, man. The press makes you money, so
exactly. Yeah, that's the thing, especially in boxing. Like, there's like 3 guys that write for a paper anymore, and it's like, dude, you gotta just,
exactly.
Yeah, this is it. You got the media. I mean, you got to be cool with these guys. I mean, what do they say? Like, and it's not like I don't think there's a lot of guys saying. I mean, is there that many people out there saying anything bad about Terence Crawford? I mean, besides just this like out of the ring stuff and like his demeanor in the ring. I mean, I think everyone agrees he's like, he's a freaking man. Like, dude, just
the problem you have, Dale, is he does stuff out of the ring, and that's what gets the press's attention, and that's why he's like the whole body shop thing. He could have avoided that whole thing by just paying his damn bill, but no, he had to break into the body shop and cause all kinds of damage and go to court and go to jail, and I mean, he brought this kind of stuff on himself.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly. No, I think that's true. As far as the mainstream media, they're only going to, or just general sports media. Yeah, that's true, Rob.
Yeah.
That story was brutal because I really like it, and I was like, dude, $1,800 or whatever it was. Like that's not for him. That is not a lot of money. He can make that go.
Just pay your
He
damn
could have
bill.
made that go away really easy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
for sure.
So, yeah. So that's what's kind of but again, like I said, it was cool to see him like he called Pacquiao. So I mean, but I kind of commended him for that. So but man, just like after a couple of rounds, he's like, oh, I got this. It's just like he didn't even look tired. Like this guy is just like anyway, whatever. And go on and on about that, but it was a good one, and and it wasn't just some like mope. I mean, Felix Diaz, that's no joke, man. So that he had absolute control, and I don't dispute the shutout score at all.
Nope.
I give him second to Diaz, but so that was something else. And man, there were just so many. I watched. Did you guys talk about that Uzcategui guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, did you did? Okay. Man, dude, like this, it's like just a factory of really skilled boxers in Eastern Europe there. But these guys have like 1 billion amateur fights. That's the difference. So I remember him from the Olympics too, and I watched that one this morning, and just kind of going through like, oh yeah, I'll check this one out. I was like, man, this is. And that one I did have a shutout. So
yeah.
So anyway, let me ask you, who do you have next week? Who do you have next week on the Brook Spence fight? How do you see that fight going down? Brook, yeah. Wow,
he's the truth.
Oh, you're the only one, man. You're the only one.
Am I? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, all 3 of us picked Spence by KO.
We think Brook's gonna go to sleep. We think Brook's gonna go to sleep.
Guys. I apologize. I meant to say Spence. That's what the truth. Yeah. I apologize.
Oh, you can't change it now. You already said Brook. That's the way to go.
I'm sorry, the wrong guy came out of my mouth. Okay.
You know what's funny is I did the same thing earlier in the show.
That's
right.
You did.
I don't know if it's the one syllable, but like I mess that one up constantly. So,
I know, right?
I don't know if it's the one. Yeah. One syllable or whatever, but yeah, I'm like, I mess that one up all the time. But no, Spence, dude, yeah. So, Kell Brook's not the truth. Spence is the truth, exactly. But hey, I like Brook, man. That guy will take on literally anybody, as we saw.
Yeah, right. Yeah, 100 goes up to 160.
Out there against a super tough guy, like. Yeah, I mean, dude, yeah. But I think, and that's the thing too. Like even with the Triple G, after Triple G, he was like, "I'm never going down. I'm never going down to 147, whatever." And he was like, Because he said he was like,
That was actually pretty good.
going to the bathroom in the middle of the night, weighing himself and shit, you know, like, he's like, it's brutal. And then he comes back and goes, yeah, I can't give up myself. And I can't blame him, but, dude, he's freaking, I think the weight's going to be an issue, and I think somebody is just badass as Spence is going to be an issue. So
I'll be real interested to see if he makes weight for that fight. I think that's going to be very interesting to see if he even makes weight, if he can even make it. Yeah.
Good point.
He's probably going to bed in rubber suits right now as we speak.
Yeah, right.
What's that, Beeb?
I said he's probably going to bed in rubber suits as we speak right now. And he's got the heat on like 80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. Because he said himself, even leading up to the, you know, like he was like, oh yeah, 147 is freaking, it's brutal. Like I don't think I'd ever do it again. You know, it's like, and now he's doing it again against the baddest man in 147. You know, so
for sure,
it's gonna be good. But I'm gonna be in UIC on Friday night, so you know, UIC Pavilion here in Chicago, watching the Irish Olympians. So
yeah, you're heading down there to watch.
Are you going to go to that fight, Eric?
No, I'm not going to be there. No, unfortunately, no, I'm not going to be able to make that fight.
Okay.
I wanted to make it, that's for sure, man. I like the UIC too. That's nice, man. Are you going to head down there and you're going to watch the Conlon fight? Yeah. That's awesome.
I will be there. Yeah, I'm going to go to that. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be a good time.
I could have stacked the card a little more, but it should be good.
I agree.
Yeah, Mike Alvarado's on it. And that Alex Saucedo kid from Oklahoma City, man. I'm just watching him knock dudes out on freaking Unimas, and so he's going to be on that card. So that's, you know, it's it'll be fun. But I'm ready to see all the you know, Irish fans come out here in Chicago and represent the South Side, coming out to see Mick Conlon. So yeah, should be a good atmosphere at least. So
for sure,
should be a good night. Yeah.
It always seems like there's a really good atmosphere in Chicago when the fights happen, especially at the UIC. It's such a good venue for boxing. It is good. It's located, you know, it's just west of downtown. University located. It's good. Gets a good crowd, good atmosphere. No question. Yeah, definitely. Anyway, so it should be a good one, and I'm excited about. Probably more excited, frankly, about what's going on across the pond. But hey, you know, it'll be fun on Friday night. Absolutely. There you go, man. There you go. Good deal. All right, Dale, man, we're gonna get running here. We're gonna wrap up. Yep. All right, man. We appreciate your call, man. And then, hey, man, call in next week, man. Tell us about the fight. Tell us about the Conlon fight. You got it. We'll do. All right, man. We'll talk to you then, buddy. Thank you, sir. All right, take care, guys. Awesome. Yeah, I hope he calls in next week and then talks about the Conlon fight and about the atmosphere there, because that atmosphere at UIC is going to be crazy. That's a nice arena. Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, it's going to be crazy for that fight. I can't wait. Can't wait. Yeah, I wish I could make it up there. That'd be very, very cool. So but I'm with him though. I am with him. I think they should have stacked that undercard a little bit more, especially if Conlon is going to headline. If Conlon's your headliner, I mean, at least give me something there. You know what they should have done is put Stevenson on that undercard too. I think that might have, I think that would have done a little bit more for it too. That would have been good. Yeah, I thought so too. I mean, because if you're going to market it like I said, Conlon's going, I think, a 6-round fight. Let me see if I still got the schedule up here. Yeah, let's see. Let's take a look at that real quick here. Yeah, Conlon's going 6 rounds. Saucedo is going 6 rounds. So why not? Yeah, why not put a Stevenson on there with him? I mean, I know you're trying to build them both and have their own, but I mean, early, it's not going to hurt anybody. It's not going to hurt it. They're both fighting undercards anyway. Well, Eric, I know Stevenson just fought on Saturday, but since it's a first-round knockout, could he fight another fight on Friday? You know what? I don't know. Do you think the commission would let him do that?
When's the other fight next week?
Yeah, the 26th on Friday.
I mean, I don't think he didn't get knocked out or anything, so I don't think there's not. You have to get knocked out to be on medical suspension. So yeah, he can do that. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if there was even after a fight. Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean,
he had a first round knockout, so I don't see any reason why Bob couldn't put him on the card on Friday.
No, I don't either. So there it is. All right, that'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Robert on Twitter at Ringside Robert, or you can call Ringside Robbie's Corner at 917-259-1810 and leave him a message. You can catch Joe Habib on Twitter at jhabib1 and find his YouTube channel on www.beatingtheoddswithbeeb.com. I'm at Ringside 73, and we will see you next week.